Yesterday, Bitcoin was sitting pretty at $73,000. Everyone was thinking, hey, the market's looking really good. Bitcoin's going to continue to rise. Everything is very bullish. But there was a problem. We put out major warning signs in the charts that things weren't quite as they seemed. The market was overextended. There was extreme greed in the market. And in yesterday's video, this is what we had to say. Roll the clip. Attention cryptocurrency investors and traders. There is a major correction coming to the crypto space that will take the world by storm and surprise most, but it's going to present one of the best buying opportunities of this bull run if you've missed out so far. After that video dropped, Bitcoin went from 73,000 and crashed all the way down to 66,000. And the $1 million question is this dump over, or is this the beginning of something much, much larger? That is what we're going to explore in today's video. Welcome, I'm Steve. Here we deliver honest, sponsorship-free TA with genuine value. Subscribe for a no BS approach that actually helps you. Subscribe. Now, welcome in. We are on the Bitcoin US dollar index. We are on the 2-week chart, and we've got a lot to cover. We're going to cover this chart right here and what is happening at this moment as we are overextended. We are looking for a curvature to happen in this chart right here. We're also going to get to this chart with the stochastic RSI and the monthly chart. We need to cover what's happening in the RSI and how overextended we were, what territory we're in now, and as well as this weekly chart with what we see happening in our candle formation that's happening right before our eyes. That could be a major clue. But we've got a lot to get to. We will start right here. So what we see in front of us right here is my personal hybrid indicator. What I've done is I've taken the top 3 indicators on planet Earth to trade Bitcoin, to buy and sell Bitcoin or any altcoins, and I've combined them into one indicator. What we can see is Bitcoin is in this yellow zone here. Not up for debate, bona fide fact. How many times have we been up in this yellow zone before? Well, you can literally count them on your hands. That's how overextended we are. In simple terms, when we're up here, we are overbought, and when we are down here, we are oversold. What you want to do is always the opposite of the herd. If we're up here in overbought territory, you do not want to be buying Bitcoin in this zone. This is literally the most overbought zone in Bitcoin's history. And if you look at it, when have we been this high before? Well, there was only 2 other times in recent memory that we've been higher, the 2021 top and the 2017 top. Look at where we are. We were almost up to those levels. The only 2 times before that are quite literally 2013 and 2011. That's it. In Bitcoin's history, there were literally 4 data points that we had been higher, more overextended than we were yesterday. Only 4 in Bitcoin's entire history. Meanwhile, everybody is very bullish yesterday. They were talking about a lot higher prices. But we came out and we said, look, just pump the brakes a little bit. Bitcoin is due for a large pullback. Why did we say that? Well, those 4 data points we talked about, after each one of them, we had a very large correction. This top here, this top here, this top here, and this top here. The smallest correction was here at 70-something%, right? Now, there is a good news for Bitcoin. We've had a couple other data points that entered this territory, one of which was here in June 2017. We had a 40% correction. So keep in mind, Bitcoin so far, since yesterday's video, has had a 10% correction. And we're discussing, hey, is this 10% correction the beginning of something much, much larger? Or was this a short-term 10% correction and we're going to go back to new all-time highs? We've just got to relax and focus on the facts and the charts. I never want you to get too emotionally exuberant on the way up, and I never want you to get too sad, depressed on the way down. Stay level-headed and you'll make a lot more money than the high majority of people. But let's discuss the facts. That's what we do on our channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We cover the bona fide facts in the charts. We focus on these bigger term, larger term time horizons, which makes you able to make a lot more money from it. I know yesterday a lot of people sold when they saw my video. We're already down 10%. I'm going to get to what you should do here in a moment, but let's continue with this chart right here. So we're up into this territory. We literally got up into the 92, 93 area where only 4 data points we had before that were up there, 3 of which were bona fide tops of the market, 1 of which was the top before the market, right? This top right here was quite literally right before the top. The good news is Bitcoin usually enters this overbought territory 2 times per cycle. Case in point, we had 1 top right here before the actual top. This was the actual top. Here we entered this channel before the top. This was the actual top. Here we entered this channel before the top. This was the actual top. So each cycle we're entering 2 times. This was our first. The good news is it's very likely Bitcoin will enter this yellow zone once again. We'll talk about that further as we continue. So we've got some facts in front of us. We understand we're very, very overextended. And what we were looking for in this chart to give us a clue if this is the bigger correction that we've anticipated is the curvature of this line. Case in point, anytime we have this line entering this yellow zone and then it start to turn down, that was our sign that this was that larger correction. Case in point here. We're going up, 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 up into this yellow zone. As soon as we started to turn our head, that was our sign. This was a 75% correction. Here, enter the yellow zone. Start to turn our head. That was our sign. This was like a 80-something% correction. Here, entering this yellow zone. Start to turn our head. This was a 40% correction. Here, market cycle top, huge correction. Something like 70-something%, right? 75-ish percent. Here, another time, entered this zone. As soon as we start to turn our head, you get the point. Here's where it gets interesting. What we have in this chart 2 times is bearish divergence, meaning this was our pre-market top, right? This was the actual top. This was our pre-top. And then we had a lower high here. So in price, we had a high and a higher high. Here we had a high and a lower high. Bearish divergence marks the top. We also had bearish divergence mark our recent top, where this was our high, this was our lower high in our indicator, and this was our high, and this was our higher high in price marking the top. What we want to do to really decide if the top is in is really pay attention to this bearish divergence. That's nothing to play with. Let's continue to the next chart. What we're looking for here, this is the Bitcoin US dollar index on the monthly chart. So we were just on a 2-week time frame. Now we're on a monthly time frame. And what we're looking for here is a curvature down in our stochastic RSI. Our stochastic RSI is quite literally at 100, meaning that we don't have any more momentum in the market, but we can continue at that 100 level, which we had been doing for a period of months. What we're looking for is a start of a blue cross down through the orange. We have not seen that yet. Those are just facts. Now, here we are back on a weekly chart. So we had a 2-week chart, we had a monthly chart, now we're on a weekly chart. We're trying to look at this from several different angles to try to gather the facts to make a sound decision. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you what I think you should be doing at this moment. But first, we need to uncover all of the facts to make a sound decision. Now, what we have in front of us is the RSI. We're on the Bitcoin US dollar index, and we're on the weekly chart. And what we have are these red arrows signaling when the weekly chart had gotten above about a 89 on the weekly chart. That's where we were yesterday. It was right up at this level, about 88, 89. And what I want to do is point out just facts, right? How overextended we are. Keep in mind, This is the RSI. The RSI is quite literally overbought, oversold. When we're up here, above 70, we're overbought, which means the herd is buying. They always buy at the worst possible time. They always sell at the worst possible time as well. They're always selling when the weekly RSI is below 40, right? Which is actually when you should be buying. You should be buying when the weekly RSI is below 40. You should be thinking about selling when the weekly RSI is above 80. You don't want to be buying above 80, and you don't want to be selling below 40. Unfortunately, the herd always does the wrong thing. Why? Because of emotion. You want to control your emotion. You never want to get too depressed and sad on the way down. You never want to get too emotional and bullish on the way up. You want to remain level-headed, make sound decisions, and you want to make trades based on facts and a strategy, not based on what somebody said on YouTube and in one of the comments. You want to have a strategy. So look at the facts. When has Bitcoin been this high before? Well, we were right here at our market cycle top. We were here and here 2 times during this cycle, one before and one after. We were 2 times in this cycle, right near here and here. And we were a few times in our first cycle. In simple terms, you can see we were above this level 4 times in our first cycle, only 2 times in our second, but 2 times quite strong. Our next cycle was 2 times, but barely above. And then our one cycle after that only had 1, but we had very strong bearish divergence at the top. So we were up at that level where Bitcoin has only reached a handful of times, and people were really thinking that Bitcoin's just going to continue up for the next few months, up to 100,000. Nothing goes straight up, nothing goes straight down, ever. So you want to understand we were at incredibly overextended territory. This is why I tried to warn everybody that a larger correction was coming. It has to come. And that's good news for Bitcoin. It just can't continue to rise from here. And everyone will say, oh, this time is different, ETF, whatever. I mean, they've been saying this time is different for 7 years. The facts are in the charts. You want to remain level-headed. Having a nice, healthy correction is good for Bitcoin. If you're bullish on Bitcoin, it's quite good. It'll present an incredible buying opportunity if you're somehow out of the market, right? We'll talk about that buying opportunity at the end of the video, but you want to remain level-headed, and when everybody is so bullish, you want to be fearful. When you literally look at the chart here, this is the Fear and Greed Index. We were up here at extreme greed. One of the most famous quotes in all of human history with trading is when others are greedy, you need to be fearful. So I came on here in yesterday's video and presented this fearful scenario. Everyone is incredibly greedy. We were at extreme greed. You want to be fearful when others are greedy, and when others are fearful, you want to be greedy, right? It's that simple. It's very hard to control emotion because of FOMO, and you have this fear that you're going to miss out on all of these trades and all of these profits, and that emotion runs you crazy, okay? So what we've got is this chart right here as well. Bitcoin US dollar index on the weekly chart. We have price action above. We have the RSI in the middle of our screen, stochastic RSI at the bottom. As we speak, Bitcoin still has momentum on its side. We have not had a cross down in the weekly stochastic RSI. Just the facts, all right? This chart will close on Sunday evening, 11:59 UTC time. However, in the middle of our screen, we're starting to see some curvature in the RSI and hoping to hold some support at the yellow line. Just the facts, right? So for those who are looking at this candle, this is a very interesting candle that we have right now. However, it doesn't close until Sunday evening, 11:59 UTC time. If we have a close of a Bitcoin price around where like 66, 67 or anything lower than that, this is going to be a very bearish candle. However, nothing goes straight up, nothing goes straight down. And what we have on our side is we have some momentum, right? We talked about this on the weekly chart, right? Bitcoin still has momentum. So here's the $1 million question. Is Bitcoin going to continue to fall? Is this the start of something bigger? We've got to go back to the rules that we set yesterday, right? We needed some curvature down in this chart. We have a little bit, but this chart doesn't close for 9 days, right? So we got to be patient there. We also talked about this chart. The stochastic RSI on the monthly, we needed a blue cross down. We haven't had that yet. This is a monthly chart. It closes in literally 16 days from now. So we have to be patient with that. We talked about being very, very overextended, just a bona fide fact. We're starting to see a little curvature, but we've got to remain level-headed. On this chart, we still have momentum on our side, right? And we're still holding support at this structure. So here's what I'll say. A lot of people saw my video yesterday and then they sold, right? If you sold around 73,000 and bought back in at 66,000, your buying power is significantly more. By the way, this chart will close Sunday evening. Right now, Bitcoin has momentum on its side, right? All of that could change in the next couple of days. We still have a few days for this chart to close. If we come Sunday evening and we have a blue cross down through the orange, it's going to spell something bigger is on the horizon, right? We're going to also see if Bitcoin can hold this yellow line as support in the weekly RSI. We also need to see how this weekly candle closes. All of those facts will be in Sunday evening. But again, if you took and sold at 73,000 and just bought at 66,000, that is a huge W. That's a huge win. You increase your buying power substantially, but don't get cute with it. Don't get greedy. Stay level-headed. Stay the course. We need more facts to come in to see if this is the larger correction that we've anticipated. This is what I would recommend you do. We don't have any confirmation yet that this is the larger correction, which it very well could be, but we have to be disciplined and look at just the facts, right? Bitcoin, if you're focused on the day-to-day movements, it's going to drive you crazy. You want to remain level-headed and look at this. These are signs for a much larger correction, right? We do not have them yet. This could very well be the first stages of it, but you have to remain level-headed. We're not out here guessing. This is a fact-based game, which is if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We cover just the facts. It's not what I hope is going to happen. And by the way, I usually tell you what you don't want to hear. I'm just going to warn you. If you're new to my channel, ask my subscribers. They usually hate what I tell them because when everyone else is really, really bullish, I present a scenario which they should be really afraid of. And then when everyone's really, really afraid and they expect prices going to go way down, I present the bullish case. And what usually happens is the opposite of the herd, which is why I continuously tell you what you don't want to hear. Whatever the narrative is out there in social media, I usually tell you the opposite. And what usually happens is the facts win, the charts win. The herd doesn't win. The charts win. So I just need to tell you up front, when you follow my channel, which you just subscribed, I'm going to tell you what you don't want to hear, but it's the best information for your ears and for you and your family's future in building wealth, right? It just takes a little process to get used to that. Now, if you sold yesterday, it's more risky to be out of Bitcoin than in Bitcoin. If you look at the calendar year of 365 days, Bitcoin usually makes all of its gains in about 42 days. Just think about that. Think about all of the days in the calendar year, 365 days. Bitcoin makes all of its gains in just 40-something days. You do not want to be out of the market in a bull market. In a bull market, you should be buying at the bottom or in phase one, which I told you repeatedly at the bottom. I told you, hey, 15, 16,000, you should buy. If you missed out, buy in phase one. If you completely missed out of that, you should buy in phase two. Now we're in phase three, right? It's too late to be buying Bitcoin, but on these dips, this is where it should be in your strategy. If Bitcoin falls, 10, 15%, I'm going to start dollar cost averaging. And I'm going to, there's always these corrections in Bitcoin. Look at the previous cycle here. This is a big correction. This is a 40% correction, 30% correction, 25, 30% correction, another 25, 30% correction. There's all these opportunities to add to your position, but you don't want to be selling all of your portfolio in the midst of a bull run, right? So if you sold yesterday and bought back in, you sold at 73, bought back in at 66, your buying power is already through the roof, right? Buying power is already through the roof. And then what you want to wait for is that 15, 20% correction, start dollar cost averaging in and do it as far down as we go and then ride that next wave up, right? You don't want to get cute with it. You don't want to try to time the market unless you've got more than 5 years experience with actual proven results and your strategy actually works. But that's rare. I want you to trade less. The high majority of people watching are over trading. Trade less and be more level-headed and continue to do the opposite of the herd. But this could be a small little correction, right? Bitcoin could go back to a new all-time high. We have to be disciplined and wait for the facts to come into the charts. This could very well be the early part of this larger correction. But again, to try to get cute with it and time the market, I'll show you where you could get burned right here, right? Look at this chart. Bitcoin entered this yellow territory as we discussed, right? It got up here. The curvature started to happen, right? The curvature started to happen here. And we had that happen when Bitcoin was around 30,000. And then we had bearish divergence form. Bitcoin shot up in price from 30,000 up to 69,000. And then we had strong bearish divergence. It's more risky to be out of the market in a bull run than in the market. Bitcoin more than doubled in price by doing that. That's what I want you to avoid, right? Trade less, stay level-headed. Once we get confirmation that this is a larger correction, we will be all over it. For now, just remain level-headed. This could be the very beginning of it, but we're disciplined. You are disciplined. So that's what I'll leave you with. Let me know in the comments down below what your prediction is. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you right back here in the next video. This bull run is our road to 500,000 subscribers, but I need your help. Today, tell one person about our YouTube channel, how we spit facts, go against the herd, take no paid sponsorships of any kind. Road to 500,000, let's go.